Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Breaking Bad Insider Podcast. I'm Kelly Dixon. I'm one of the editors on AMC's Breaking Bad, and we're here to talk about episode number 406. Today, I'm with my co-host, Vince Gilligan.
Hello.
Our co-executive producer, Melissa Bernstein.
Hello.
And special guest, Jonathan Banks, who plays Mike on our show. Hey, Vince, I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of the story, where we're at. Right now we're in the midst of sort of a war between Gus and the Mexican cartel. They've kind of made their presence known by trying to rob the first refrigerator truck.
Yeah, right.
Now you have them robbing a second truck,
Yes.
and they have a new tack
Yeah.
going at this one. So what was that like in the writer's room, deciding to actually repeat and really, so the cartel is basically just robbing the truck, killing all the people to send a message?
Well, it was. I wish Jenny Hutchison was here today, who wrote this episode. Did a wonderful job. She used to be my assistant 12 years ago in the X-Files. She's out running. I think she and her boyfriend Andrew are running 12 miles today. They're training for a half marathon, so she's out as we speak, running her butt off somewhere. But she came up with some just a wonderful script for this episode, and as usual, coming up with the plot for any particular episode. It's the seven of us writers.
But to actually decide that you were going to repeat.
Well, I mean, it just seemed like a fun thing to. We try very hard in the show never to repeat ourselves in a sense, and yet, perhaps it's not repeating oneself to repeat oneself.
No, but this was effective.
We like the idea of starting off an episode that looked like, it's almost so that the audience would say, wait a minute, oh crap, they're showing these out of order. We've already seen this one.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this is a different one. Who are these two different guys? This isn't Mike anymore in the back of this refrigerator truck. It's these two guys we never met. Okay, things are going to get robbed. We've seen this before, except that we see that the cartel has learned their lesson from when Mike bested them 2 episodes prior to this one, and now we see the cartels getting the upper hand. So it I don't know, as with any other scene, it seemed like a fun way to get into the episode.
Can I ask a question of Jonathan?
Of course.
So I think 406 is a really interesting episode in terms of Mike's relationship with Jesse.
Yeah.
And he watches this scene take place outside of the meth house where, Jesse's does something pretty clever and ends up making some progress. And then there's those 2 scenes in the diner. What are your thoughts on how that relationship is changing?
Good question, Melissa.
Well, it's really hard sometimes because maybe I'm not that bright. It's hard to take Jonathan Banks's values and Mike. I don't know if Mike would even want to hang out with Jonathan Banks, but
Who wouldn't want to hang out with Jonathan?
I like him, and I'm not sure. Vince and I have talked, and you got to tell me an image of somebody. You say, this guy works by the hour. It's just I want to know, when you were talking about the image of somebody that flies up, and I'll answer the question in a second. But an image of somebody out of your life, and obviously, he didn't have to be a killer, he didn't have to be this, but who was the image of that guy? Of that hourly worker that was there no matter what, doing it, was good to his word.
Well, I can't think of someone like that. I wish I could, but I do in more general terms. I think of Mike as being a man who did not set out to be a criminal or to represent the interests of criminals in the way that he does. But I think he's a man who has a moral code, a man who believes in what he believes in, a man who stands by his friends and is loyal. Mike is an interesting character to me because he's got so many fine qualities, and yet without his blood pressure even raising that much, he can kill someone.
Yeah.
He can do those kind of things.
Yeah.
So fascinating guy, and yeah.
And whatever design that you take, or the writers take, on whatever his background, or if that ever even comes up, I still, when I do my stuff and I think about where it is and where he was from, what happened, where did he get to this? Because there's something, to me, there's something really tragic about him.
Yeah.
And I don't know either.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I like the way you put that, though. I like that.
Jesse, a diner. Sorry, I didn't mean to go
not
off.
at all.
Aaron didn't want to eat his meatloaf, as I recall. What a pain in the ass he
Yes.
is.
So I think even depicting him as
Impossible.
complaining about
Impossible
anything,
order.
he was just like, maybe next time it doesn't have to be meatloaf.
was
That
funny.
might have been his critique.
I don't blame him.
Oh my
That
God.
meatloaf didn't look particularly.
Yeah, but he never said
delicious.
anything to me. Aaron never complains.
No, he never does.
Ever.
Except
Ever.
about the
I do
meatloaf.
the complaining for all of us. I go, Jesus, what the hell are we doing out here? God. Anyway, just feeding him, you know? I mean, there's no way that you get around at my age because, listen, this guy could easily be my son. And you see somebody in trouble. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that scene comes very naturally for Aaron and I truly, and yeah, you know what I'm
You're
saying.
great in that scene. You both are so great in that scene. Just sitting in the car, waiting in front of the crack house, and you're offering him a sandwich, pimento cheese.
Pimento cheese.
Yeah,
Not bad.
yeah, pimento cheese is quite good actually. And then the going out and digging in the yard. I'm
Digging
sure
with
some
Tucker
folks
in
are
the
wondering, you know, what's the story there?
Why don't you
for-
talk about the shovel cam that Mike Slovis wanted to?
Mike Slovis, who's got a wonderful eye as a director and also a wonderful director of actors. He's the whole package there. He's the whole deal. He had the thought of putting a small digital SLR, mounting it to the end of the shovel, so that one short but very fun shot of from sort of the shovel's point of view over Aaron's shoulder as he swings it over his shoulder, swings it around, and starts to dig with it is quite a fun shot. Done with a little, I think in this case, like a Canon 7D that cuts in with our 35 millimeter motion picture film very nicely. And it's a very interesting shot. And it's we live in amazing times technologically that we can get shots like that, and they don't, for the most part, don't look like video. They look like they cut in, they integrate with the motion picture film very nicely.
Right. I've asked you this in the editing room when we were working on this episode a few weeks ago. I asked you about how you guys came up with the idea for digging and thinking that would, entice a meth addict out and understand and have him innately understand what was going on.
Well, meth heads, there's a term called tweaking. Meth heads are known to tweak when you are deep into the throes of the meth and you are obsessing. And it may be taking a television set apart. It may be picking at scabs, on your arm until they fester. There's a lot of nastiness. Or it may be digging a hole to China, in your front yard. I can't remember who came up with the idea, but we just thought it'd be interesting if. Mike's got the shovel in the back of his Buick there, and the first time we see that shovel in last week's episode, we think, oh man, Mike's going to bury Jesse in the middle of this desert out by this windmill, the shovel, of course, in a show like Breaking Bad is a representation of bad things afoot. So last week it was. This week, Jesse says, "Pop the trunk, I need some," and he pulls out a shovel. We're thinking, he's going to cross the street. He's going to whack these guys in the head. He's going to kill them. No, he's not. He's not. Jesse is not a violent person. And to see Jesse use cunning and to use his personal experience on meth, it was a delightful scene that Jenny wrote. It was wonderful to watch it, see it cut together, see it working, see you actors playing it. It's a scene I'm real proud of not in a personal sense. I didn't write this one, but in a just a show, in a showrunner sense, I'm proud of the scene because it's everything the character is believably capable of doing. He's not going to go in there and whack these guys in the head. I mean, he does at the end of the scene, to save his own life, but he's not going to go in there and violent. He's not going to go in there like Rambo. He's not that guy, and he's not Einstein either. But he does have quite a bit of street smarts. Jesse does. He's no idiot, and he gets smarter with every episode, and he grows up more with every episode. And so you're proud of him in a weird way watching the scene. You're like, damn, he pulled
so
it
was
off.
Mike.
Yeah, and that,
He
yeah.
wants to prove himself.
Yeah.
The two guys that played the meth heads too, they were.
They were great.
Tucker and
One
Tucker's
kid.
buddy.
Tucker, shut the door. Talk about them. You know. Yeah, you guys talk about
Damon
them.
Harriman,
Yeah.
who plays. It's Tucker is Blake Barris, and Damon Harriman. Does he have a name?
Tucker's buddy.
Jenny called him Scary Skell
Scary
in the
Skell.
script. He never
Yes.
really is
like
given
Scary
a name.
Spice, but more
Yeah, it's
meth.
like Scary Spice.
Yeah. Damon had the shot where he comes into camera You cut this one, right? And it's a really tough shot for focus.
Yeah.
So he had to do it a lot because
gotta
like
hit the
our
focus.
our first AC was outside the room. He couldn't even see it, so it was one he just had to keep giving. And every time he did it,
I mean, doing the focus by remote control, that
Yeah.
little remote thing.
yeah, he couldn't even see the shot.
That's tricky.
And so yeah, Damon had to do it a number of times, and every time he just brought it. It was amazing.
That's tricky because you're talking about a depth of field of like an inch
Oh,
or
yeah.
a half an inch or something. If you some of these shots like that one I'm remembering back on, you got to get the eyes in focus. If the eyes are in focus, the rest of the face can be out, and you still get the sense of the shot being properly focused. But when you're talking like a depth of field so shallow that the eyes can be in focus and the tip of the nose is out of focus, you're like,
Which
man,
shot
you
are you
gotta.
guys-
That's tricky.
which
when
shot are
when
you
he
talking
comes
about?
in, he says, "I don't have enough
Oh,
for you,"
okay,
and then he's saying, "Why do you don't put thoughts in my head?"
Right,
and all
you don't
that
put
stuff.
okay.
You
Got
don't
it.
put thoughts in my head.
That was great. Man.
On that note, I want to thank Jonathan Banks for joining us today.
Thank you,
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Jonathan, for coming in. Melissa, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Vince, love working with you every single time.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, great
thank
job.
you to all you guys for shooting this video.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
And I want to give another shout out to Mike Slovis, who directed this episode. The episode is called Cornered.
Cornered, as
Cornered.
in four corners,
Right.
and as in the feeling of being cornered. And Jenny Hutchinson, who wrote it, came up with
Yes,
that title. Great
Absolutely. Jenny Hutchison, Mike Slovis. So, everybody, thank you very much for listening. And everybody, go break bad.